This is Apropos. Jeff Bezos and his fiancée Lauren Sanchez have touched down in Venice ahead of their star-studded wedding bash. The nuptials of the billionaire Amazon founder have drawn the ire, though, of protesters who are claiming victory after the couple moved their main celebration from the city centre to another location. And Tony Kerrigan has the story.
The lovebirds have landed in Venice. Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos and his betrothed Lauren Sanchez have invited around 250 A-listers for 3 days of lavish wedding celebrations, which will see whole swathes of the floating city closed to the public, to the ire of locals.
It's not a good thing. As usual, only those who have money can do this kind of thing. Venice is now the property of tourists. We who were born here either go to the mainland or have to ask them for permission to board a ferry.
Residents have come together in protest, galvanising support from international NGOs who colourfully argued on a 400 square metre banner, if you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more tax. And the activists claimed a small victory on Tuesday. The main reception was set to take place in the 16th century Scuola Grande della Misericordia. But the Bezos millions were no match for activists threatening to flood the nearby canals with inflatable crocodiles to prevent their guests arriving. So they've scaled back their ambitions to the medieval Arsenale. The switch came the same day that a life-size mannequin of Bezos holding an Amazon box was thrown into the Grand Canal. And grievances are not limited to residents of the city affected by its housing crisis. For many, the event represents wider social and economic injustices.
We think that one big billionaire can't rent a city for his pleasure. So we are here because we want to stop this injustice society, injustice climate, and we want to change the mind of people, we want to change the society.
Around 90 private jets are set to land in local airports for a wedding valued at around $55 million.
Well, for more, we're joined now by a member of the British activist group Everyone Hates Elon. Thanks for being with us this evening. You do wish to remain anonymous on the programme, but you're part of the group that unfurled that anti-Bezos banner in St Mark's Square this week. Tell us more about the protest and why this was a cause that your group felt necessary to take on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. We started as a group a few months ago. Obviously, we're called Everyone Hates Elon, and we started in response to Elon Musk's getting involved in politics. But Elon Musk isn't the only problem. There's lots of other billionaires that are influencing our lives, and Jeff Bezos is obviously the second richest man in the world. A couple of months ago, when he sent Katy Perry to space as part of the Blue Origin space flight, we put a message out. We did a bus stop ad that said, if you can send Katy Perry to space, you can pay more tax. And that went really viral, and it was something that resonated with a lot of people. And so when we saw that the story that he was renting, basically shutting down half of Venice to get married, it just felt like it was something that, we really wanted to make a point that it's just obscene that any one person can do that at a time when most of us are struggling to pay the bills and when politicians talk about having to make really difficult decisions to fund public services. So that's why we wanted to kind of put a message out there, and we did it on a 20 by 20 meter banner.
And it looks like the couple... Sorry for cutting across you. It looks like the couple have been forced to essentially move the location for the wedding, or part of the celebrations in any case. Groups there, protesters describing that as an enormous victory. What was your response?
I think as a group, we were started as three friends without a penny taking on the world's richest men. And, these people like Jeff Bezos have all of the wealth, all of the resources in the world, and they have lots of power. But I think victories like this show that when ordinary people come together, when we use our creativity, when we use our sense of humor, we can take on people who have lots of power, and we can show, it's not going to solve the problem of wealth inequality that Jeff Bezos has moved his wedding a few miles down the road, but it is a symbolic victory for people power, and to show that, we do have a say in like how these billionaires impact our lives, and we can take them on if we come together.
But apart from the symbolic victory that you refer to there, do campaigns like this actually make a difference?
Well, I think it's really easy to think that there's nothing we can do. I mean, when we started on a Zoom call, looking at Elon Musk tweeting, amplifying far-right figures in the UK and across Europe, feeling like there's nothing we can do. But we made a decision to start campaigning on that, and actually, we've seen him step back from politics directly as a result of campaigning from groups like ours. We had a big impact on that, and other groups like Tesla Takedown. So we really have seen that ordinary people like coming together, without the resources of these billionaires, can actually impact things. I mean, we wanted to start a conversation about wealth inequality, and our message, which is that if you can shut down, if you can rent Venice to get married, you can pay more tax. It's a very simple message. That has been on the headlines around the world in the last 48 hours, and that is a victory in and of itself. To me, that's a more important victory than where Jeff Bezos gets married. I want a conversation started about Jeff Bezos and people like Jeff Bezos and companies like Amazon paying their fair share of tax.
Yeah, Greenpeace has also joined the protest. It's been saying it wants to draw attention to the low taxes that billionaires like Bezos are paying, while allegedly exacerbating the climate crisis with their more or less environmentally unsustainable lifestyles. Is that something that you would sign up to as well?
Well, absolutely. We did the action on Monday in collaboration with Greenpeace. And, the reason that we're calling for figures like Jeff Bezos and companies like Amazon to pay more tax is like, these are it's the second richest man in the world. Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world. We're facing, a cost of living crisis. People are struggling to pay their energy bills. Like, rent is getting higher every year. We're facing a climate crisis. Like, these are all things that require strong public services and governments being able to invest so that we can build a better future together. And ultimately, that means, when billionaires, we've got more billionaires than we've ever had before, and taxing them so that we can use that, so that some of that wealth can go toward solving some of the biggest challenges we face is really what this message is all about.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue when we start talking about taxation, but is there evidence that campaigns such as yours, that they actually result in laws being changed in these billionaires actually paying more taxes? Obviously, it depends on which countries we're referring to specifically.
Well, of course. I mean, there's, throughout history, I think, people used to pay much higher taxes. We're an organisation that's based in the UK, and at some of the, 70 years ago, people paid 95% income tax, and that's not necessarily something we're calling for. Like, we're not a policy organisation, but due to campaigning and people power, income taxes were much higher. Wealth taxes have been implemented in countries around the world as a result of campaigning. And so it's something that we've seen before, happen before, and it's something that can happen again. And it's only going to happen again if people see that it's not up to people like Jeff Bezos to shape our lives, that we are all active citizens and we can come together and have a say about how our societies work.
And as you say, you're an anonymous collective. You're speaking to us without giving us your name. We're not putting your location up as well. Does all of this, does it raise concerns that speaking up, that protesting for these issues that you believe are so fundamental, that actually places you in a vulnerable position given the current geopolitical climate?
Well, I think, here in the UK, we have a situation where there is a direct action protest group that's, about to be prescribed as a terrorist organization. They're called Palestine Action. And, as a result of them putting some red paint to make symbolic points about the UK's complicity in the genocide in Palestine, they're being prescribed as a terrorist organization. And we're in a situation where protesters are being increasingly criminalized, certainly here in the UK and around the world. And, some of the actions we've done, we don't ask permission. We didn't ask permission for the, authorities in Venice for us to put down a massive banner in the Piazza San Marco. And so it's more about the nature of the actions we do. It's safer for us to be anonymous. That's it's also we're taking on some of the richest men in the world, and we don't want to make it any easier for them to come after us, essentially.
And just finally, what would you say to critics, including, for example, the mayor of Venice, who kind of described these protests as ridiculous, saying that lots of different events take place in Venice every year and they actually bring benefits to cities like Venice? What's your response to that kind of criticism?
Well, I think, you only have to look at the fact that there has been an incredible uprising of locals in Venice as part of this No Space for Bezos movement to see that the mayor is very much out of touch with what people are feeling in Venice. That was very much the sense that I got, going there. When we put the banner down, we had people coming up to us saying, thank you for doing this, that they're so frustrated that half of their city is being shut down for one man's wedding. So, of course, the mayor might think that it's helpful when a billionaire comes and spends over $48 million on a to rent out the city. Maybe that's helpful for him, but for most people in the city, the message I got was very loudly and clearly that they didn't want that, and that's not something that they are happy with.
OK, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thanks so much for joining us on the programme. That was a member of the British activist group Everyone Hates Elon, speaking with us anonymously there from the UK.